Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thursday, which means it's another episode of Trap Chat with the Shark. We are continuing our Black History, Black Excellence episodes. And today we have a phenomenal repeat guest, uh, Ms. Kay Gravesande. Kay, reintroduce yourself to all of the folks out there.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me back. I loved our first episode in December. That was amazing. So I'm super, super excited to be here again. I am Kay Graves Sandy, and I am the owner, CEO of Career K LLC, which is a service for career coaching, business etiquette coaching, and I'm a speaker. I do that predominantly. I speak to students and professionals about business etiquette and kind of career empowerment. So that's a little bit about me.
And you are out of Ohio, correct?
Yes, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, and it's snowing there?
It is snowing, icing, hailing, nasty.
Stay home today, everybody.
Stay home. Yep. Kids are on delays everywhere. It's mucky. There's black ice because it's also, I think our high is like 18. So it's not only like nasty, but it's cold. So yeah, bundle up or stay off the streets if you can.
Yes, it is cold. I was out earlier, as I told you guys before we went live. I'm not going to get back into the tragedy that was my morning. Rich, how are you this morning?
Hey, I'm enjoying life. I got my coffee.
What coffee are you drinking today? I see.
It is the Starbucks Christmas holiday collection. The end of it.
Okay.
Bag.
All right. So, Kay, we last talked to you. We had a great conversation that could have gone on for
ever.
Yes, because it was so good. And, that was one of the reasons we wanted to have you back to give a little bit more insight for those that are, possibly early career, even those that are looking to transition into something else. How have things been going, over the past month and a half, 2 months? Are you seeing an uptick in people re-engaging their job search, or have things kind of calmed down?
Definitely more people who are feeling more positive in their job search because we're getting through that holiday hangover. And so employers are back and feeling like they need to do more, right? We're seeing a lot more jobs opening back up. People are kind of finished with those budgets so they can kind of see what their hiring looks like. And so I've been getting more clients that are like, okay, I'm getting responses now, as where a month ago or 2 months ago, it was kind of quiet. Right? They weren't seeing as much movement. They may have been applying, but they may have kind of heard nothing back on those applications, or they may have been interviewing, but they were hearing, oh, well, we're not really sure. Our interview is kind of going stale for right now, or I'll follow up with you. A lot of those kind of messages were coming in, and now we're getting some speed, right? We're gaining some traction in our processes. So things are going well because people are now starting to get moving. As we just pick up, we're back. Everyone's back in the office. They're back to work. They're getting things done, and that's usually the trend in HR right now. We'll see that hangover, not really hangover, but that lull come back over when spring break comes around. You kind of have to follow those trends again. It's the same. I always tell people, think of what's going on in your life. It's the same stuff that's going on in the employer's life. The same way your kids are on spring break, so are their kids, right? They're traveling the same kind of way. The same time when you want to do stuff during the holidays, so do they. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of these up and down dips.
Yeah, so I love that you said that, because that was going to be my next question. It was like, how do you encourage and help folks maintain confidence when they aren't getting the immediate or the as quick as they want to timely responses? Like, how do you keep them engaged, and what advice do you give to them to stay engaged and not push pause as well?
Yeah. I always say, number one, kind of put yourself out of your own mindset. I know a lot of times we think about the self. We think about what's going on in our life, right? I'm not seeing any responses. I've put in 100 applications and nothing's happening. Why is it that I'm the only one that's going through this? And sometimes we have to kind of get out of that self. You're probably not, right? There are literally millions of people on the job market. So it's not just you. And a recruiter is dealing with lots of requisitions. So they're not only focused on your application and the job that you're trying to get, they're focused on a lot. So sometimes we have to come out of that self and think about the whole perspective. And we can also, sometimes pushing pause is not a bad thing. Sometimes when you've been going every day and you're submitting applications every single day, that's part of the reason you're so drained. Take a step back for a minute, you know, because you're seeing the same applications, right? If you go on Indeed every day this week, you're going to see the same stuff every single day, right? So if you take a step and you hit pause and you're like, you know what, I'm not job searching for the next 10 days. That's fine. Don't job search for the next 10 days. Do something else. Go do something you like to do, right? That'll get you out of that mind frame. And so when you come back, you're going to see a whole new set of stuff. And that's going to help you kind of stay engaged and feel a little bit more uplifted.
I love that. I love that. Rich, you have anything?
Oh, yes, of course. I always do. You know that. What you said, Kay, because every time I get somebody on the phone, and I put this in a blog yesterday, it's like Disney World when you talk to me. It's like the Disney World of jobs, right?
Yes.
Energy and excitement right off the bat to them. They're like, I can't find anything. Well, when you put on pause, guess what? I'm not on pause. I'm trying to find your job while you're on pause. And that's people's like that. Wow. That's because I'm always out trying to help everybody. But I think what we need to do is bring energy and excitement to everybody. When you're on that phone call, it's almost like the spotlight's on you to bring them up. Yeah. And don't talk negative. You know, I've had recruiters before say, oh, their job market's not that good.
Yes.
Putting them in a sinkhole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But my question to you is something I've been really tampering into a lot lately is the well-being and the mental health.
That's big right now.
That's a big thing. I have two people I'm going to talk to today about this. What are you seeing out there on this?
So I see there's kind of almost like pick a side, right? I see the side where like, yes, well-being matters, mental health matters, take self-care, right? You need to worry about self. You can't pour from an empty cup. I don't know how many times I've heard that. You can't pour from an empty cup. I see that side. There's a huge community that believes in that, right? And when I say community, I want to be very specific. Community, not employer. That's very specific, because when I tell people, this is another thing about job searching, it depends on who you are, and you have to know who you are when you're looking for a job. Do you just want a job to pay your bills? And that's okay, right? I'm not judging you if that's what you want to do. Maybe you just need income, right? Maybe your bills are piling up, they're past due. You just need to pay for something, and that's fine. Or are you looking for a career, a place that's going to foster your growth, a place that's really going to care about engagement and culture? Because if you are looking for that, and you want a company that cares about that well-being aspect, then you're going to need to dig a little deeper, and your job hunt may take a little bit longer. And so that community that's about well-being and self-love and all of that, that's out there. But there's also this kind of caveat to it where people are kind of like, get over yourself, take care of yourself. This is life, move forward. So there's two totally different opposites out there that I'm seeing. And it's kind of like, which side are you going to choose? Which is what everything I feel like is about, right? We just saw all this. Are you Democrat or Republican? Which side are you going to choose? Are you Black Lives Matter or not? Which side are you going to choose? So it's kind of like people take these issues when they become a massive issue and it gets attention, and they split it down the middle, and they say, are you on this side or are you on that side? And I kind of hate it, honestly, because you don't give people a chance to really just be wiggly, be flexible. Maybe today I'm feeling like my mental health matters, and tomorrow I'm feeling like I need to boss up and get some stuff done. I don't need to pick a side, you know, I get to kind of be where I want to be whenever I want to be that. But it's kind of like we're in this space that people aren't letting people do that. They're like, no, you're either about self-care or you're not.
You're right. You're like boxed up, basically, is what it is.
I can't stand it.
Do you feel like seekers exhausted at times? Do you see them like when they call you, they're exhausted every option?
Yeah, that happens. I get a question often about like, I've been on job search engines. What else am I supposed to do? And that is so frustrating, because I understand why people think that's how you job market, right? That's how you hunt, is you go on Indeed, you go on Glassdoor, you go on LinkedIn, and that's it. And I've submitted my application, and then nothing else happens after that. What's next? And I'm like, that's probably why you're frustrated, because that's not how you find a job. I mean, it might be, right? Some people do.
But
But there's a lot of other other ways to network with people to get yourself into the door other than here's my application. Good luck to you.
But you know what? We have to educate them, because what do we see on TV all the time? ZipRecruiter and Indeed, love them or hate them, they're out there telling you, boom, put it on
Did you see
ZipRecruiter, and then
Indeed's
have an
commercial
interview that
during
you
the
get a
Super
job
Bowl?
overnight.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I've seen the
Yes,
commercial.
Indeed did a commercial. Yes.
It was all this like super heartwarming. Indeed is what's going to find you a job. And I'm not knocking Indeed. Okay, let me make that very clear. I'm not knocking them. And I do think that it's a great resource. But it's like, I almost want them to provide additional resources if that's the way you're going to go. If you're going to tell people, hey, we're going to find you a job for the, like, it had like a pregnant woman on there, and it had a guy who was like coming out of jail. If you're going to tell people we're the place that's going to find you a job, what other resources are you providing to them other than posting ads?
And I think that's why our candidates have hope. They see that, you know, they see
like
that
made me so
commercial.
mad.
No.
I was furious. Like, why would you?
ZipRecruiter does the same thing. You put your resume on there, and then you see the one guy shaking the hand where you got hired just like that. And then in all minds, job seekers say, wow, I put my resume out there. How come I'm not getting a call, right?
Because that's not all it takes.
I know.
Like, and for like places like that have the platform and the reach, you should be able to bring in the other resources, right? You should be able to then partner with recruiters, partner with companies, partner with consultants to say, okay, hey, what jobs do hire felons? These are, so here's specifically who you can work with, since you do have something on your record, right? Okay, you're a single mom and you have to only work 4 hours a day. Here's your resources for those people. But it like really irked me when I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute. So they're playing on these heartstrings to say, hey, come on our website and we'll get you a job.
But they do it both. But they do it from both sides. They do it to employers too, because you know when they're selling.
Very true.
When they're selling to employers, they're saying we have all the people. We're the largest, and they are. You know, we're the largest job repository. Like everybody's on Indeed.
Very true.
And then they tell job seekers, we have all the jobs. You know, everyone's jobs are posted on Indeed. But what they don't tell you is that you gotta pay for premium things. You got to pay for those jobs that you really want, because you keep seeing the same positions over and over and over again. The same way that you keep seeing the same job seekers over and over and over again. And there just needs to be some honesty and some integrity in that. Like, they are a business and they're in the business of connecting. You know, and that's what they need to say. That's what they, now you mentioned about having other resources. They do have resources, but those things are not as widely advertised. So, you know, they have blog, they have career resources, so to speak. They have jobs, but I can't vouch for like how well they're vetted and, you know, like how good they are in terms of, is it just folks that are, you know, being paid to write something that says, hey, you know, what makes Indeed more attractive to job seekers, more attractive to employers. So yeah, I do understand that, but like getting a job is very personal. It really is. Getting employment is very personal, because as you mentioned, like there's various reasons why, you know. Sometimes we do have to take that in between job. Like I think we've all done it. I worked at it when I got laid off in 2016. Like I didn't go back to work full time, and I didn't start my business officially for another year. I worked at a church part time.
You need money. Sometimes you just need money, and that's what it is. And that's why I'm like, that's totally fine.
Side hustle.
But then sometimes you want a career, right? Sometimes you want a place that's like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not interviewing again until I'm ready to retire, unless something catastrophic happens. So I want a company that's going to fit me as well as I fit them. And that's a different search. That's not a here's just my application. That is, what's the company about? What's their footprint? What is their culture? Who is on their leadership team? When are they private, public? Is that what I want to work for? That's when you're really diving into that nitty gritty to find your short list, because that's not a long list. That's something I also have to explain to people. When you find, or when you get to that point in your career where you're like, I need to settle down, basically is what it is, like a relationship. I need to settle down. And so the type of place I want to settle down with has to have these requirements. And you find that short list of requirements, that means your job search is going to be a lot harder and a lot more finite. So people don't get that. And that's not coming from an Indeed application.
Right.
You're sorry.
And so how do you empower them? Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Job seekers out there are not educated. That's the big thing that we have to do as a responsibility. Is when they call us, all they see was the commercial and how to log in Indeed, and they think everything else is easy, and they're clueless. I mean, we have to almost go through baby steps, but we have to tell them the pros and cons. That's the Oz. We have to tell them what's good and what's bad too. And nobody wants to say the bad stuff. They want to say you're going to get a job, and they never hear back from the recruiter. Recruiters don't ghost people.
Well, a lot of what I talk about now when I'm doing my speaking is I try to give a very real picture, because I talk to a lot of typically like high school students all the way up to like 40-year-olds who are in their career. But when I'm talking to my students, usually high school and college, I try to give a very realistic picture of what life is, because I don't want you to get out here and kind of fumble. I fumbled. And so that's why I'm here. You know, I always tell people, I'm trying to be the change that I want to see. I don't want people to go through the same thing I can. And so obviously I'm not going to reach everybody, but the people I do reach, I want to help you so you don't have to do what I did. And that's a part of it. If you're coming out here and you have this accounting degree, what can you really do with an accounting degree? And then you have a degree, but you have no idea what it's like to be in the real world. You don't know how to write a resume if you've never gone through resume career services. You don't know how to interview. You don't know how to network. You don't know how to write an email. What are your corporate communications? How do you handle yourself in a meeting? These are the things that I'm teaching you, or that my services offers to you, so that you can be ready, because I didn't know any of those things either. I went to a great high school, a great college. I came out and I didn't know what to do. So that's why I'm here, to help you so you know what to do. And that's all a part of that.
So are those, like, how else do you empower folks to, again, take control of their careers?
I think number one, I always say, find your passion. I'm very big on happiness. I know I told you guys that last year. Last year sounds so crazy. Wow. That was like a
week ago,
right?
Rearview mirror.
But yeah, I always, I'm very big on finding what makes you happy. I mean, I can't stress it enough, just because when I left my corporate job in October of 2020, and it hasn't been the easiest thing to do, especially financially, but my happiness has skyrocketed. Happiness is so underrated for people, and I hate it. And so something that I'm super passionate about is, like, what are you passionate about? That's one thing that I encourage job seekers to do. Because if you're in the job seeking market, you have the flexibility right now to do that. So find your passion. I get it if you're kind of stuck somewhere, that's different. But if you're not, right, this is a great chance for you to find what you like to do. I also like to tell people this is a chance to, again, network. We have to stop being afraid to talk to people. Some people suck and they're scary, and I get that. But most people aren't. They're not. And so get out there and talk to folks. I'm not a scary person. You're not a scary person. You're not a scary person, right? Get out there and start talking to people. That helps a lot. How many LinkedIn posts have we seen where people say, hey, I lost my job and I'm just telling my network, if anybody knows anything, let me know.
And then they have hundreds.
100 people respond, right?
Yeah.
Talk to people. And I know it's scary because we have this fear of being vulnerable. We do. No one wants to be vulnerable, right? No one wants to seem like they can't handle it, like they're not strong. But at the end of the day, we're not humans. When I say we, I mean humans. We're not meant to do things on our own. We're just not. Yeah. That's why we want friendship. That's why we have parents. Exactly. That's why we have spouses, right? So lean on other people. That's what we're all here for. And so that's also something I tell folks. You have to kind of let that guard down a little bit. You have to, I mean, you're here. Obviously, if I'm talking to you, you're here for me, right? You came to another human. So be vulnerable a little bit in your time of need and say, hey, if anyone knows anything in XYZ field, I'd appreciate it if you let me know.
Yeah.
And the worst is no one will respond.
Human connection. You summed it up right there, right? And I think the biggest thing when we open up the whole country again is when there's job fairs and all that stuff, we're going to have to teach everybody again how to look in somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
I've been to job fairs, and especially recent graduates, they look down at their phone because that's all they're used to is social media.
It's going to be worse than that. And this is just my own experience. So my son is in second grade. He's been a remote learner the entire year, and he's struggling to do that. And I knew this was going to happen for him in March of last year. I said this to my husband when they pulled all the kids out in March of last year. I said, I'm so afraid of the social distancing and how it will impact them, right? Because they're not around kids. And so my son, again, he's in second grade. He hasn't been in school since March of last year with other children. He's been a remote learner. And now when every day he comes up, I ask him how, tell me what happened in school this morning. And so he struggles to stand in front of me and look at me face to face. And I knew this was coming, I knew that this is what was going to happen. And so as a parent, it's a tough thing to do because it's like you're looking at a gun and you know the bullet's coming, but you don't know how to stop it. I have no idea how to stop it because you get those things just from being in class, right? You learn those things because you're around other kids. You have to wait your turn. You have to ask teacher to raise your hand. It's hard for me to figure out how do I give him the same impact at home because he doesn't have it, but I'm watching it. And so not only I know you're thinking graduates, but it starts earlier than that. It's impacting all the kids right now who are in front of a computer all day long.
Oh.
I know.
Well, it affected us, working in front of a computer all day long changed, the way that we do things, the way that we interact. I mean, it changed recruiting.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Overnight. It really did. I mean, you still have folks who don't want to pick up the phone anymore. Like they don't actually speak to the people who they hire and move through the hiring process. And to me, that's insane. Like
it is insane.
Unless there is something prohibiting you from speaking, like there is a person, is deaf or whatever, there's something wrong. There's something where you guys can't speak to one another or look at one another or connect in that way. Like there's no reason why you should be hiring people that you've never met. And I get it. Sometimes we're in different locations, but when I say met, I mean never seen, never heard their voice. There's folks that don't know, they couldn't pick them out of a lineup at all. I'm like, there's no reason why the folks at LabCorp should know who I'm hiring.
Yes.
And I don't. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've done 3 talks with companies because their staff were getting too distant. They were not turning on their cameras in meetings, which some people feel different about that. Some people feel like, why do I have to, right? And other people feel like we should. And they were getting very passive aggressive, those emails, right? Because I think what happens when people are working from home is they're getting the sense of independence, which is good. We want independence. I want you to feel that you own your job, but then you're losing the sense of camaraderie. You're losing that team. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You want people to feel that they're responsible for what they do, but you don't want them to feel that they can't collaborate. And so in these talks that I've been doing with the companies, a lot of what I've been doing is kind of not saying that you should mandate different things, but that you should set the boundary, that you should say, if we're going to have an all teams meeting, that all teams meeting needs to have our cameras on, kind of like school. The schools are requiring cameras to be on. Teachers don't want to talk to blank names, right? They want to see you. just as they would see you in a lecture hall. So maybe not for every meeting that we do I need to see you, but if we're doing an all teams meeting, just as if we were sitting in a conference room, we need to see each other so that we can communicate. And so it's about setting, a part of adjusting to this remote situation is setting some new boundaries, because this is new. We got to establish what we're going to do here. A part of that passive aggressiveness, if there's a passive aggressive thing going on, there's a root cause to it. So get to your root cause so that you can kind of find your solution of what's going on there. But it is that. It's a lot of folks are happy being home. They're not getting dressed, right? Let's be honest. Half dressed, not getting dressed, hair isn't done, haven't taken a shower till 5 o'clock in the afternoon because they're taking care of kids, dogs, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Woo. But if you're doing that, here's the other thing I say is we really have to normalize the fact that if I'm at home, life happens. And so remove some of these expectations. Not saying that you can come with, your shirt hanging off your shoulder and, make, dot whatever, but presentable doesn't mean corporate unless you're talking to like a customer or something. If this is, if it's the three of us and we are on a team together, I don't have to be dressed, right? I can have a t-shirt on and my hair in a bun because I just made my kids breakfast. And that's a new expectation for the new boundary that we have. If that's something that we've agreed to, then that's okay. Now, if we're talking to a customer, that's different. I may need to be suited. Fine. But it's all really just about having those conversations, and they might be difficult, and that's okay. But if you don't have them, you're going to continue to let your team drift further and further apart.
Oh, I'm just going to say one thing. 100% agree. We're in the people business. So why would a recruiter want to have their name up there? If I'm a job seeker and I'm looking to just see your name, or if you don't have your profile on LinkedIn, I'm not dealing with you.
Yes.
We are, and I know a lot of recruiters don't like to be on video or their picture taken. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you 100%. You got to do it now. Change is here. People want to see vision.
And take a class. I don't know how many times I've had to tell some of my clients, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't want to see iPhone on your Zoom. You need to learn how to change your name on your Zoom. I don't want to see iPhone. And nobody that you're interviewing with wants to see your name come up as iPhone
a real person.
or any of that. You need to learn at this point, because we've been digital now for over a year. You need to learn Zoom basics, Teams basics, Google basics. The things that you're going to be any of these platforms that you're using, it's now time to learn the basics of how to use them. I'm not saying you got to be a pro. Okay.
It's easy to use too. It's like playing Atari. It's easy.
You need to learn how to turn on your camera, how to, adjust your mic, how to make it full screen, how to use the chat box. If you need a virtual background, put it on there. If not, go to a blank wall or a nice wall. But you gotta, at this point, because even when the world opens up, a lot of places are still going to be remote, right? So this is a skill that if you want to be competitive in the job market, this is what you need to do. And it is what it is. And if you don't want to, that's fine, but you're going to get outrun. And that's just the reality.
Falling behind.
Well, the only thing that I'm going to object to there is the over stimulation that happens when you're on camera all day long.
It does, yes.
Now the thing is that we have to be honest. Some of this is not new, because it's not like remote work wasn't already happening. And it was happening successfully before we made these mandates that you have your camera on 100, all day long, and you're sitting here staring at me. You have to be dressed. Those were not expectations we set when we were working successfully 100%. Remotely before. So we shouldn't add these things on. And I love what you said about, if it's a team meeting where you would normally be in a conference room where we gather together, then you should, take the time to turn your camera on and do all that. But everything but we have made this camera and it's really like we're being spies now on our employees and on job seekers as well, because then we're injecting a whole different type of bias. Everybody doesn't have the same access that others do. So you can't say, oh, well, they like me, like, oh, well, she had, African art in the back of her thing. And, she just isn't that serious.
Fair. That's a fair point. That is
You
a
know,
fair point.
like
We
her,
have to,
like the kid, like yesterday. What happened with us yesterday? Like we were literally talking about that video. I am a cat, and one of our guests' cat was like waving their tail
Right on the screen.
and then was like, "Oh, are you talking to me?" And then got in the shot like, "Hey, what's up?" Like,
But
I'm
you know what?
here.
That's what we need. We need that
Yeah.
character. We don't have to be robots anymore and just stand there with a suit on or a dress.
yeah,
Let's be ourselves, right? That's what people want.
Yeah, but
that's funny.
I think we have to realize, like I said, like some of these phone calls, I always leave it up to the job seeker
Yeah,
for
Mhm.
our phone screens, not video interviews,
interview.
not the things that are taking place of the in-person interview or the formal
Yeah.
interview. If they don't turn their camera on, good, because I didn't really want mine on either. So, but I'm sending you the Google chat, like, and I'm like, listen, you can dial in.
Yes,
I'm cool with either one. You
that's
don't
funny.
have to be on video. It is your choice. So yeah, I'm here for that. But I think we've become so excited by maybe accustomed to like people wanting to be on camera all the time. Like,
Yeah,
no, like I think that we have to take a step back sometimes to say this is not a video meeting. Like this is not necessary.
This is
Like,
in
yes,
Hollywood.
turn it on.
yeah.
And managers that have started these like daily check it, like come on,
That's a lot.
like
Yeah, I don't.
stop
Too
it,
much.
stop it.
The daily check-ins I know I've heard of those, and those are a lot, you know. I
Mhm.
mean, it's whatever works for your team. That's
Right.
my opinion. They could be a lot, but it's whatever. If your team needs to be managed that way, I can't tell you not to. I do agree. Yeah, when you're on camera all day long, it gets to be like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
tired. I need a break. I need a moment to not be cheese. You know, I need to take a moment. But
Yes.
I understand for sure what you're saying in that aspect. I know just for me I've always been an HR, like the HR person. Like my
Mm-hmm.
roles, I'm always on small HR teams, and I always have to be like, I don't like, people will come to me and go, I don't know if you're the one for this, but right. So I have to know a lot about a lot. And
Yeah.
so my roles are always super visible. People come to me for literally everything. And so, because when I was in an office, my door was always open. Someone's always there, right? Because it can be anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's an HR, they're probably in here. So now it's on the flip side. I'm kind of like this, right? Instead of being in my face at the door, it's like, hey, you got 15 minutes for a quick call? All right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the opposite. And so it definitely, I think it's kind of depending on your role.
Yeah.
And, and I love that you said you give your candidates the option, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes everybody's different, right? Some people are super comfortable like this, meeting you for the first time. Other people are not. Other people are a little bit more slow, right? They kind of need to ease into this and figure it out and say, I'm good. I don't really like the camera that much, or they may not have access to the camera. They may have to share a computer. Again, virtual learners. If my son was using my computer all day long, I might not be able to even get the camera until he's out of school. So
Right.
being sensitive to all of the different
Exactly.
situations, that's a really good way to look at it, is say, I put it in their hands. If they want to see me, sure. If they don't, totally fine.
You know what's amazing? So many of the candidates I have, we either text, we talk on the phone, but video resumes, once you get through that breaking ice, they love it. When when they can actually break it down and we can do it together and nothing's ever live, we might do 4 or 5 takes. It's really something like, wow. And they want to show all their family members. So that's something I think that's going to be awesome in the future. I do a lot of it now, but I think as we keep going on, people want to see that 1 minute of you of like
Yes.
American Idol. What can you give me to the company?
I've seen the video resumes. I've also, one thing that I've had 2 candidates tell me they've done recorded interviews, which
Mm-hmm.
I see that's coming more, I guess, into the trend. Instead of, recruiters taking notes, they just record the interview so that it can be more focused instead of having to stop and record, stop and take notes, which I like that as well. So I think newer innovative ideas are coming, which because of these capabilities, because of being able to be virtual. And I'm like, oh, I love it.
Exactly. And I think a key word is, and you guys might say yay or nay on this, I hate saying interview. I say chat. We're going to have a beer or coffee chat right off the bat. They're not stressed out. And then we go through everything, their whole life. In 10 minutes, I knew everything about them. We're best friends, and let's rock and roll and get you a job. Simple.
All right.
It depends, I guess. It depends on what. I think chat is good to get to know you, but I think interview, it depends on what stage you're at, right? If you're kind of in that second, third, then
entry level stage,
more serious.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Once you keep moving on,
to know you. Yeah, the behavioral. I just want to learn who you are. Mm-hmm. Do you fit culturally? That's a chat for sure.
All right. Well, we're at the 35-minute mark, so we're not going to hold you.
Timer here.
But we do want to throw out the Black History portion of the show. So I know that you have worked in corporations that may or may not have celebrated Black History Month. So what is your Black History Month do and Black History Month don't for the folks out there when it comes to corporate celebrations?
That's a great question. I think the do would be just to recognize it. That's, oh God, I'm trying not to be so wordy. If it's within your culture at your current company, recognize Black history. Make it comfortable for your employees to express it if they want to. You don't have to push it on them and be like, it's Black history, bring all your, no, you don't have to do that. But if it's within your culture, it's normalized, it's accepted. People don't feel awkward to recognize, because if they do feel awkward and you've never done it, then it's fake, right? So if it's there, definitely allow people to feel like this is a great time to educate their colleagues. A lot of times people feel awkward asking. So when you go the other route and they can just kind of let it out, then that's awesome. And you can do that simply by posting facts around. You can do that by saying, share your favorite Black history fact, maybe your favorite invention, whatever that is. Black history don't, well, there's a long list of those.
Well, it seems like we see those every day. Like every time I open social media, I'm like,
there's a lot of don'ts. But we'll keep this one simple. So let's just say Black history don't. I would say any corporation should not be asking their Black employees to educate them on Black history. That's a very easy don't. If you want to know, go research it on your own.
You heard it from Kay.
Do not ask. Go find out.
I didn't have to say it this time.
I will say it. Never ask any history, Black history, Asian history, whatever. It is not their job to educate you if you want to know. You go find out yourself.
Agreed. Or you could just, read one of my T-shirts.
Literally.
I'm wearing Black history today.
What's it say? It says
761st Tank Battalions, the original Black Panthers.
Oh, I like that.
They were World War II Tank Battalion. So, and shout out to Scorpio Designs for designing the shirt and making sure that I got it, sending it to me. Appreciate you.
KG does have the best shirts. I
do. Last week I had on.
You're right, I do.
Last week I had on my free People's Free Food Program for the Black Panther Party sweatshirt. So yeah, we'll see what next week is when we close out Black History Month. What I'll have on. Well, who knows?
I love it.
Thank you as always. Thank you again, Kay, for taking time out of your day to come and chat with us. It is always a pleasure to hear your insights. You give folks so much. So those of you out there, recruiters, job seekers, hiring managers, retired folks, whoever, take a look at this video, play it back, take notes, because Kay gave you so much information. Please tell folks how to get in touch with you, how to follow you if they want to get more information about Career K LLC.
Yes, so I am only on Instagram now. I took off my Twitter page because I was not managing
Oh,
it. I did. Once I did figure out how to get into both. By the way, y'all helped me realize I had two out there, and I was like,
yes.
why?
Yes.
So I figured out how to get into both pages, and because I was just not managing them, I took them down.
Okay.
That was a resolution. So I'm only on Instagram at Career K. But you can also find me on my website, which is just www.careerk.com. I do have a blog on there. And I am speaking, and I'm also doing personal one-on-one coaching
Nice.
and either career. I focus more on career empowerment. So that's kind of for if you're struggling in your career and really don't know where to go. But I also do a ton of talks. So for forums, summits, workshops, conferences, panels, all of those kind of things to kind of help figure things out as well, empowerment and business etiquette. So
Yes.
that's about me.
All right. And please, everyone, follow Kay.
Yes.
Make sure that you subscribe to Staffing Shark YouTube so you can stay up to date on when Richard is live, because it seems like he's live and on all day long. Make sure you follow him, and then make sure you come back next week for another episode of Trap Chat with the Shark at 10 a.m. Eastern every Thursday. We will see you then.
And remember, stay human.
Stay human. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.